Welcome to Walking with Jesus Bible Study. We are going to be in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 1. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. And I'm going to repeat that and go in a little bit closer so you can see. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with such great a cloud of witness, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which doth so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. There's nothing worse than tripping on a rock and stumbling on a steady when we're trying to do a race or walking about on a path and we fall down. We end up with scattered egos, a rash on our knee, sometimes even broken bones. Sin would do the same thing. It would damage our spirits in the same way, making it difficult to get back up and to finish our race. You see, that's why we have God. He would direct our attention to a great cloud of witness for guidance. And those people, they'll be your experiences will help us to gain wisdom and become alert to the road snares, to the devil's traps. But here's the thing. We must endure that race to the very end. When we begin, a lot of people, when people start about, I started my walk with Jesus, and when I begin my walk with Jesus, or when I begin on my path, to righteousness, and, I'm on this, it's always a race. No matter how long since you came to Christ, whether you was born into it and you've never fled from it, or you was in it, then you went and left and did your ways and then came back, or you've been in it for a long time now, you've been called back to God, whether it's been 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Your race is not over. The race and the path and the walk with Jesus is not end until you either die or he comes back again. You must endure to the very end. It's not, the race does not end. You don't need to step. The moment you step off that path, the moment you step off that racetrack is the moment that you're going to begin to be by yourself and you're going to start losing your faith. Because you can believe in God and not have faith. That's how the devil gets you. That's how he traps you. That's how he keeps you. No matter how tight your relationship with God. And see, here's the thing. A lot of people, once they come further into their relationship or with their walk or into the Christianity, they start getting this head about themselves, thinking, oh, God has done revealed to me so much, and I know a lot, and I know the Bible in and out, and our relationship's this close and everything. I have the goal to stand over here because I'm good. I don't need to gain anymore. I don't need him as much because I already have him in my life. Oh, no. You always need God. You got to remember that without God, you can be nothing. Without God, you can do nothing. And without God, you are nothing. So the moment you start saying that you don't need him clearly every single day, or the moment you start thinking that you got this all by yourself, that's where you're going to end up, is by yourself. Because you're going to always need God, no matter how close you are to him. See, that's what happened to Satan. Thought he didn't need God. Thought he could be God. Thought he was okay. They could do all things because he was already at this high status. And see, that's where you get a lot of pastors losing their faith. Oh, but how can that be? The pastor shouldn't be close with God. Shouldn't be tight? Yeah, but you can be as tight as you want to, and the devil can still trick you. He's not going to go after his children. He's going to go after God's children. And yes, there's two types of children. There's children that belong to God, and there's children that belong to Satan. And it says it clearly in the scriptures that there is two children. Children that belong of God and children that belong of the devil. And God would use any and everything that is evil for good. But you got to remember, not all children are God's children. And you got to remember, you don't need to be stepping off that path. You don't need to get off that racetrack because the time has not come yet. You're always going to need him. And that is the devil's purpose. Him and his children is to trip you up. It's called pride. When you think you don't need that much, when you don't need to learn anything more, or your relationship is already, you can't get any no closer to God. You don't need that. And it's the lie of the devil to make you be proud for, to make you have all that pride sit in. And it's going to push you away from God, and you're going to be standing way over there by yourself. Then when God comes, he's like, I don't know you. Just because you did once used to know him. The devil once used to know God too. Think about that. He was that close with him. But he ain't no more. So too can anybody, no matter how long they've been in this walk with God. That's why you got to stay on that straight and narrow path. And it's easy to get off that path. That's why it's so narrow. That's why you got to pay attention. You got to stay alert, stay focused, stay sober, stay vigilant. Because the devil is surrounding you. And that's why you got to keep your light shining bright. Keep the oil in your lamp so you can see where you're going. You start letting it get a little bit too dim, you may not see that rock over there because it's starting to blend in with the darkness of the bottom part. And your light's just a little bit too dull that you can't see that rock coming up and you're going to trip and fall. Let your light shine so bright that no matter what the devil puts in front of you, you can see it. You can see it a mile away. Oh, I see you over there because your light's so bright, it's making that object cast a shadow. That there's no denying that he has put something there. You don't want God to come and see your oil lamp gone. That's what happened to the 5 lazy, foolish virgins. There was 10 of them. 5 of them stayed prepared. They even brought extra oil so that they could make sure to keep their light shining bright. They was not going to allow the oil lamp to run out. And that's what that whole passage means right there. Is do not be caught with your oil lamp empty. Because the moment you leave to go buy some more oil is the moment God's going to come. And where was you? You should have been there the whole time. Oh, but God, I believe in you. But God, I have a faith in you. And blah, 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 this. And see, that's why I have a lamp. But it wasn't lit. It wasn't lit. Same thing with the passage, the story that has to do in the Bible where he was talking about a marriage ceremony. And everybody was too busy and was making an excuse. So he sent his servant out to go cast for any and everybody. All the peasants, their servants. And he let all of them in. Because the other important people was what? Too busy. Made an excuse. Same thing when it came to him talking about the Pharisees. The Pharisees didn't want to believe in Jesus. Didn't want to believe who he was. He said, that's okay. I'm giving all my gifts to the Gentiles. Now the Gentiles are welcome to my kingdom. Forget about the Pharisees. It's all about the Gentiles. Same thing at that wedding. The important people who had status or whatever was too good to even come to the king's wedding. Made an excuse. So he went and got the peasants and the servants and the Gentiles to bring up there. And everybody was in there. And they had an invitation. And they even got a garment to wear. And there was one person in there who was not wearing the garment that was provided for him. And what did he do? Got cast out and was killed. Don't get caught not wearing your garment. Don't get caught not having your lamp full of oil. Because he's coming back. But you got to endure to the very end. You got to stay on that path to the very end. Don't step to the right and don't step to the left. And it says that many times in the scriptures when describing a lot of things. Nor did they look to the right, nor did they look to the left. Nor did they step to the right, nor did they step to the left. Because they're staying on that straight and narrow path. Almost every story in the Bible is a guideline. Stay on the straight and narrow path. Make it to the very end.